Well, 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 look at you.
Yeah, sorry, you got me up out of bed.
Oh, well, I do apologize. I don't want to interrupt your beauty rest.
No, no, it's all right. It's what it is.
Well,
I
I
had to put on
appreciate you for taking
my
the time.
sneakers. Yeah, yeah, no, it's fine. I need to bust them out every now and then, you know.
Oh, wow. Get good art support with those?
No, but I can swim pretty well in them, I guess.
Now, I've been reading a lot about podiatry and whatnot, and apparently having a wider toe box is better for your feet in the long run.
Ah, get it. I long run. Ha.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, so what's going on? What's going through your mind? You wanna be the shepherd?
I am no
All
shepherd.
the lost lambs.
I am no shepherd. But I am someone that wants to do something. I'm not going to pretend that I have all of the answers. But if we can at least get all of the people who feel a little aimless, a little lost, confused, knowing that we're feeling that there's only the options of faceless or cops or doing nothing. Because I think there is something that can be done. We don't have to sit idly by while the things that we care about, the people that we care about, crumble and perish around us. Now, some people may think it's futile to do anything, but I'd much rather try something.
Fair enough. I mean, words like that are usually backed with an idea, so what you got for me?
Right now, disaster preparedness is the first set, right? Because eventually, whether it's today or 2 weeks from now, some of our vital services are going to run out. Water, electric, gas, other things that a lot of people depend on to go about their day-to-day. And sounds like shipping is going down, so that also means that a lot of other things that we depend on, like medical supplies, are going to become scarce.
It's crazy that we got all that here, huh?
I know. Now, I'm not suggesting that everyone comes together and forms a Babylon, but at least give people the tools that they need to survive, so that there's less of this hopelessness, this apathy about what is going on. Because regardless of where we stand, we're all going to be affected. I had a kind of speech that I gave at Legion Square where I just feel more certain that it doesn't matter whether you're working for the Faceless or whether you're a cop or a gangbanger or you work at Senior Buns, we're all going to be affected relatively equally. Sure, there are going to be some people that have slightly more resources. Well, that's going to run out eventually. And whatever we can do to prevent, a scarcity mindset or looting or feeling like we need to attack each other in order to survive. I'm hoping to find a way around that. Because I know it's possible. I mean, we know it's possible, right? We've been able to live off of the land for the better part of almost a year.
True.
And if we can give other people those tools, it'll give people a chance.
So, what's your idea, huh?
Currently trying to organize first aid training, just public first aid training for people. I'm hoping that we can get groups of people together to, learn about desalination and figure out other water collection practices that we can do. Spoke with Andy, she talked about a seed bank. I mean, for the time being, unless it ends up getting super fucked, the soil is still fertile.
Yeah, for how long?
That's the question, right? But we can rely on indoor gardening. We have systems set up that could support that, right? Even if the sprinklers don't work, we can create our own pressure systems, or just simply water by hand if needed.
I got a couple questions for you.
Ask away.
So first aid training, food. You know, shit's gonna get rough out there.
Yeah.
I don't know how the government's really gonna handle it. Do you still have access to these buildings here?
No.
Damn.
They got seized.
Fuck. Were they ever put on the market? I think they're required to after, what, 3 months?
I think so. I actually do not know if they have been. I know that the Lost have really been wanting to buy them, so I wouldn't be surprised if they already got their hands on them.
I'd always ask Party when he's back from his diplomatic mission.
I know it's not a lot, but I feel like I have to start at basics, right? I would love to dream big, but I know the second I start doing that, I'm going to lose sight of the tangible things that we can do, at least, to start out. Why is this music so aggressive?
Yeah. I think you're doing a really good thing.
For me, it's the bare minimum.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, starting with something basic, right? Especially if it invites criticism, right? Like, that's not enough. You should be doing more. I hope people are inspired to do more and better than me. That's the hope with this, right? I really am not going to pretend I have all the answers, but sometimes it just takes a singular grain of sand. And then million more singular grains of sand to make a beach.
Yeah. What you called me the other day. Not nice.
Oh. That was meant
Not
to be
nice.
in jest, but I shall I shall recognize that it was you know.
Oh, go ahead.
It savored a flair.
Okay, fair enough. I think you've got a good place to start. I think people rally behind a leader, a little community, right? When it comes to inspiring others, ideas, things like that. I think you've got what it takes. But it's going to have to be frequent and often. Otherwise, people are just going to give up on it.
Yep. I'm at least going to dedicate myself to trying, whether or not people show up, to hold something every single day, right? Whether it's a meeting, whether it's a check-in meeting for people, whether it's me giving speeches and proselytizing in the middle of Legion Square.
Something you're going to have to understand, though, Eliza, is that you might just make yourself a target for the Faceless.
I think the second that I set foot in San Andreas and said the words, "I am going to revive and redeem the Epsilon program," I made myself a target for the Faceless.
All right, ego stroking aside, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
I've always been a target for the Faceless.
Okay, all right. Well, it's not even ego stroking.
I was a target
just
for the
making
Faceless
it-
before. It was cool.
Oh, okay, well. Okay, look, when you put it that way, it does sound rather obnoxious, but I shall stand on what I said. I will acknowledge that none of this is going to be easy. And I don't intend anyone else to become a target from doing this. But I either continue to slink around with my tail tucked between my legs, withering about in the corners and underneath awnings, hoping to gather a crumb of information that could point me in the right direction. Or I could try to do something.
Yeah, no, I'm with the doing something part.
I'm not even going. I'm gonna make sure that I implore, or just really nail this in, that I'm not trying to recruit anyone to a group. I know that's gonna be one of the biggest hurdles because I have a reputation. I'll acknowledge that. But that reputation has many
Kiflam.
facets. Kiflam indeed, brother.
Yes.
No. I understand what reputation I have, but I'm hoping the content of my words gets through even the staunchest skeptics. And if it doesn't, that's okay. Maybe someone who feels inspired is able to change their mind, or is able to inspire them. Or maybe by virtue of the fact that they're like, oh, fuck Eliza, that's a treasonous Kiflam, or I don't give a fuck about what she's saying. You know what? I'm gonna do something better than what she's doing. Good, I hope so. I legitimately hope so. I hope someone listens to what I'm saying, goes, that's a dumb fucking idea, I've got a better one, and then does it.
And then it turns out to be a worse idea.
Okay, well, if it ends up being a worse idea, at least they're doing something.
Yes. Okay. I need to know where you stand with the marshals.
Marshals. So, full transparency, for about a month, I was in their protection. They gave me a safe house. They took me on ride-alongs. They kept me safe because they sincerely believed that I was a #1 target for the Faceless, for being kidnapped and taken God knows where. And I will admit, I mulled it over when they originally offered me, but I was so laid up, I couldn't stand for longer than a minute on my own. And I couldn't think of anywhere else I could go where I wouldn't immediately get shot or thrown to the wolves. So, the fates presented me with an opportunity, and I took it. I learned a lot on my ride-alongs. I kept quiet, I listened, I observed. And then, especially over the past couple of weeks, it became more clear that I did not need to take advantage of their generosity any further. Probably could have divested myself sooner, but hindsight, 2020 and all that. So, on Saturday, I gave my key back. I thanked them for their efforts, and I am more than capable of taking care of myself now, and that's what I'm doing. I know some people will look down upon that and frown and think, Eliza, these are the same people that shot at you that... I'll let you take that if you need.
No, go ahead.
These are the same people that shot at you, shot at the people you cared about, sniped you ad infinitum in prison. What the fuck makes you think that this is a good idea? I think that there are some marshals that legitimately believe they're doing the right thing. I think that there are some marshals that are lost in the sauce and will probably turn to the Faceless first opportunity they get.
Hashtag McNulty.
Hashtag McNulty. But overall, just like any other law enforcement group, it's a mixture of deeply flawed and deeply sincere people trying to work within a crumbling system to do what they think is right. or what benefits them most. Regardless, they serve the state, and the state serves the faceless. It's a needlessly long answer to your question, but I don't know any other way to answer.
It's all right. I already knew all that stuff. I just wanted to hear it from you. I'm a man with many connections, you see.
I believe it, Mr. Governor.
That's right. You think the bunker's still around here? Might be a good contingency.
I mean, something worth checking out. If I recall last, it, like, got caved in?
Let's go see. Excuse me, Pooch.
Rosie! Hi, sweetie. Oh, this is a mighty fine vehicle.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's called Hotspot because it's got Bluetooth wheels.
Oh, I'll have to say, magnificent.
Thanks. Doesn't get good connection out here. There's no cell towers, so sometimes the wheels just don't work like they're supposed to.
That's so fucking
funny. Can you jump over fences in your condition?
Yeah, I can. It's I'll be honest, I can walk just fine. It's just I got to get a lung transplant, so I get tired pretty easily.
Oh, good. They kept the toilet.
Oh, good. Oh, very good.
I think it caved in, yeah, like you said.
Yeah. Here.
It's just rubble. And mush.
Oh, wow.
Unless I'm at the wrong spot. I mean, shit,
no,
you've been here.
Actually, this is it, yes?
Can't wait to take the hog out.
Oh, wow, yeah, that must have been them trying to dig it out.
Must have caved in.
Wow.
Unless this dog is barking at it.
Oh.
Where's the...
I'm pretty sure it was right there.
Where's the vault, Pooch? Where's the gold?
Oh.
Take us there.
Oh, okay. This is a smart dog. Hey, Gecko, how's it going? Where do you think he's taking us?
I don't know. Too damn quick, this guy. I don't think this guy knows where he's going.
Yeah, do you think he may have misheard you?
May have, yeah. I'll let him be on his way. Yeah. Well, shit. No contingency then, huh? Fuck.
Oh, that's quite all right. We could always, you know, there's options at least. It's, yeah, like I said before, it's basic. Just looking at basic survival skills to at least educate people so that if things do go to shit, the people who want to be prepared are prepared. And
so what scenario are we talking about here? Like a fallout?
So for the longest time, I was under the impression that the Faceless were going to drop a nuke on San Andreas. I no longer believe this. And I hope I'm not proven wrong. But I think they are intentionally undercutting a lot of the social services that we have, these pillars of society. Water, electric, gas, etc. And they're hoping to basically edge people out by slowly depleting things. Right? Because if everything was gone in a snap, it'd be easier to pivot and find a new solution as opposed to trying to figure out what to do with an increasingly smaller and smaller amount. Like putting a frog in, you know, what is it, the boiling a toad?
Yeah, boiling a frog.
That's, yes. I think that's what they're doing. Like, sure, a lot of what they're doing is very bombastic, very showy, but by the virtue of the fact that a lot of people, rightfully so, I'm one of them included, feels like any attempt to fight it is futile. Like, there's nothing we can physically do to stop them. And it's difficult because, ideologically, a lot of people agree with them. And it's hard to argue against the fact that, to some degree, they're correct. Our foundations are rotten. Things are so corrupt that it's difficult to even think of where to start fixing things. And I disagree that this is the way to go about fixing them. Because there's too much collateral damage. And all it's going to do is install or create space for another entity to take power and have control over their own flavor of corruption under the guise of justice.
Right. Okay. Just to poke your brain on this. When things are said and done, right? Someone's going to come out on top of this, right? Whether it be the Island Boys or the state.
Yep.
Well, where does that leave? Where does that leave you and your ideas and plans? Because there's no matter what scenario.
Absolutely. I sincerely believe that there is going to be planned opposition from the Faceless that are going to be the ones that fix things. Because I think as it stands, with some very notable exceptions, most of our government is not equipped to rebuild anything.
I mean, you saw how fast they rebuilt the courthouse. I think they did all right.
Yeah, that was Nest, which is under the Faceless umbrella.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what I think they are going to do. I think what happened at the courthouse was a test, a rehearsal, a small scale little presentation of what is to come. One of their own assets, Silas Moreno, went in, blew up the courthouse, and blew up the marshal's office right next door.
Well, that's my lawyer.
Oh, really? He's a skilled lawyer. I'll give you that. One of their own assets blew up that courthouse, and the Nest construction, with glorious fanfare from another person that benefited from the Faceless, Nino Chavez, basically opened the doors and let them come in and renovate things and fix things, quotation marks.
Wait, when I was the mayor-elect, you're saying I was almost assassinated by the Faceless? Because I remember a bomb blowing up in Nino his office when I was having a meeting with him.
Probably. Oh, wow. What?
Oh my God, the Faceless tried to kill me.
What? I mean, it kind of...
The door just kind of blew up and we shrugged it off because nothing happened.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
So, yeah, probably. That's harrowing. But, long story short, I think they're going to have someone like Nest come in and fix things. And return things to a sense of, quotation marks, normalcy. And I don't know about you, and I'm not going to pretend everyone's going to feel the same. But whatever whatever band-aid they want to place on this or whatever umbrella they want to hold over our heads, I don't want to stand under. Because that's going to come with an unspoken price.
Mm. Well, if it's not with, it's against, right?
Mm.
You know how Babylon was here. I mean, Faceless were attacking us almost every day. Every week.
Yep. And I'm thinking that is probably what they took umbrage with the most. Like, sure, there were a couple of former assets in here that burned blueprints that were valuable, but they generally don't. They usually target people individually with things like that. I think Babylon as a whole was an affront to what their plans were going to be.
Hmm. Jeez.
Is this the... It's small. But hopefully because it's small, it's actionable. Because I can't stand here and ask people to build something large, but...
I'll get torn down anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, precisely. But asking someone to, you know, learn how to patch up a wound for their neighbor or collect some water so that they don't thirst or so that they can grow food so they don't starve. I'm hoping that's enough to start, at least.
It is. I do have to take this.
Please do.
Hey, how'd it go? Mm-hmm. All right, wake up early. He's an early riser. Yep. Oh, nice. Give me a little bit and I'll come watch, all right? Yeah, I'm just I'm speaking with a member of the Faceless right now. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's she's pretty anti-Faceless actually. Yeah. All right. Are you going there right now? I'll meet you there. Hmm. Okay, yeah, I'll be there in like 5 minutes. All right, see you soon. All right.
I won't take up too much more of your time.
No, it's all right. I think you've got a great idea, and it's going to keep people busy and less wistful. Mm-hmm. Let me know how I can help.
Honestly, I imagine that you are, you and yours probably have a plan or something in place. You all always do.
Yeah, we'll come up with something on the fly. Is always our plan, and it always works for some reason.
Hey, if it's not broke.
Shit, let me talk to my people, and we'll see if we can get involved with what you're doing, because it might be beneficial for everybody to know this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's, again, I'm not expecting everyone to come together in a large group, but, you know, just helping people get the skills that they need and just be prepared and feel like they do have some power to control what's happening.
Yeah. No, I understand. Give me a call whenever you're about to do your next thing, all right? And I'll try to be there.
Can and will do.
Yeah.
You drive safe.